What if the version they call of you the villain is actually your highest self? And what if becoming her is actually the only way that you're gonna survive? There's a lot of misconception, but being in your villain era isn't about being cruel. It's about being crystal clear. It's about choosing yourself and putting yourself first, not caring about being liked, not caring about being accepted, and it's putting your peace as a non-negotiable. And for me, this recently started happening when I had to walk away from the people who hurt me the most, even if they're my own family. I am not the nice girl anymore, and I don't care if that really makes me a villain in someone's story. Like, I am really just over being just this kind, respectful, like always the bigger person type gal. So this video, sorry y'all, I'm putting on some lip oil, but this is a lip plumping oil, so it kind of burns. But this video is actually inspired by another content creator. You probably know of her, Anila Sita. So jumping right into this video, being in your villain era means that you stop abandoning yourself just to be loved by other people. Like, you finally stop looking for that external validation or that need to be accepted or seen. And especially when you stop silencing your truth or how you feel just to make other people feel comfortable or good about themselves. A lot of villains, especially for women who are called bitches and all other sorts of things when they speak their truth, it's because they finally stood up, spoke out, and said, no, I'm not taking this anymore. A lot of these villains are misunderstood, or they're shamed, forgotten about, isolated. A lot of people are made out to be more dramatic or like angry than what they actually are, when they're actually just reacting or just being tired of being hurt. There's this African proverb that I've seen on Pinterest a long time ago. I think it goes, the child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. And that hit me deep because I was and am that child. I feel like my entire life I have been constantly trying to prove to others, that I'm worthy, like I'm worthy of being loved and seen, and then those people literally don't care and will leave me out in the cold. So my villain era, like I said, it just happened recently. My entire life, I feel like I have been a nice person. I've been like respectful. Like, I hold my tongue because, you know, you want to be the bigger person. You don't want to hurt someone who's already suffering, right? But my villain era, it didn't start with rage. It actually started with a lot of grief. A lot of grief and hurt that I have bottled up and carried throughout my childhood, like throughout several years. A lot of being in your villain era is healing your childhood wounds and being the person that the adult that you needed. But yeah, it just started with being hurt and just also like shame and like embarrassment of knowing that I accepted treatment from people. You know, that I saw myself with just so much low self-worth. I was literally pleasing everyone else in my life but myself. And I was shutting out the little girl that I was, who never got the help from the adults that she needed. She didn't get saved like how she was supposed to be saved from certain situations. And that's when I realized I have to remove myself from situations. I have to leave certain relationships, and I have to cut off toxic family. And this is not something that I was planning on doing or saw myself doing for 2025. This was all not on my mood board. But I felt like I had no other choice. It just kind of felt like I can't take the pain anymore. I can't silence myself anymore. I left a relationship where I thought that this was gonna be a man that I marry and like I have kids with and get land with, and like, you know, we're gonna like grow a life together. And all my life I've been monogamous, like never ever cheated on nobody, like loyal to a T, tried to always be a perfect girlfriend to my partner, whether it's a boy or a girl, like whatever, man, woman, I should say. I realized that I overcompensate in a lot of my relationships, especially emotionally, because of the way that I grew up. I used to feel like I need to be quiet about what I want and how I feel in order to be respected or like to be loved, and for someone to want to stay with me. Like I couldn't have any problems. I couldn't complain to anyone. Everything has to be perfect. And I used to think that me speaking up or being direct or just not being nice to someone who is disrespecting me was being mean or being a bitch. But that's not true. I mean, it kind of is true, but it doesn't make me mean. Like, being silent felt like it was killing me. Growing up, I was made to believe that I was being too emotional and dramatic and sensitive to racism that was going on in my house. Literally. Had no one else in my family to back me up that looks like me. Literally just me on my own. You know, sometimes, like, my entire life, I don't want to ever say, like, I stopped speaking up, because that's not true. I just felt like I have argued and, like, just been at, like, war with people for so long till it's burnt me out. And I have swallowed all of that pain. That's another aspect of it, too, is growing up in my family, like, I was also made to be the peacekeeper at such a young age when that was not my responsibility at all. And there was conflict. Like, I had developed just being a peacemaker and just trying to just get everyone to like chill out and not always saying what was on my mind. Like, yes, sometimes I would argue and like try to defend myself with people, but I was just always like shot down and never really given any space to like really express how I feel. Swallowing that pain and keeping the peace, it didn't earn me any peace. It literally just caused me like pain and like mental chaos. It took me years to realize that being the bigger person doesn't mean that you're being silent forever. No, that is not what that means at all. Sometimes you gotta tell a up. Sometimes you really have to get mean with people. Sometimes you have to call people a stupid bitch. Sometimes you have to tell them like, hey, what you did was really wrong and you really disrespected me and I'm not cool with it. Sometimes you really have to step outside of character, step outside that character of this nice girl, this girl that gets along with everybody. That is not realistic. And the more that you play that little game, you play that character, this world is gonna walk all over you, whether it be with your family, friendships, especially relationships, especially if you're a woman who's interested in men. Yeah, they're gonna run all over you. I'm not saying go out into the world and cause terror and hurt people, especially innocent people. But what I am saying is that sometimes you do need to defend yourself, and sometimes you have to fight fire with more fire. You have to fight it with so much more fire and let people know, like, I'm not standing for this. I'm not gonna allow this in my life. And if someone keeps disrespecting you after that, that's when you really cut them off and you walk away. You remove yourself, because I'm gonna be honest, like, arguing and trying to get revenge with people is going to drain you as well. You can only be the light for so long until the darkness starts to demand your respect. And this is what being in my villain era feels like for me. Like, my ex used to call me like his light and his peace all the time. And if someone's calling you that, run for the hills, bro. It's a trap. It's a trap. I've had to become this version of myself, this woman that I've never been before. At first, like, it's terrifying because it's like I don't want to be mean. I don't want to hurt people who are already suffering. Like, I've had that in my head for so long. Like, especially, I feel like I'm a very empathetic person, and when you hear a lot of people's backstories, like, you start to understand why they are the way that they are. But there are just too many grown adults out here who are choosing not to get the help that they need, or like they're just not trying to better themselves at all, like at all. And that was just, it was just pissing me off. I didn't know who I was outside of people pleasing and being a lover. Like, I used to, that saying, like, I'm a lover and not a fighter. Eventually, sometimes you just got to be a little bit of both. And sometimes you got to fight a little bit more than you love because, bitch, if someone is disrespecting you, they don't love you. At the end of the day, they just don't. They wouldn't keep hurting you, and they would try to understand where you're coming from. So whenever I broke up with my ex, like, he literally was cheating on me and then was trying to convince me that I was a bad girlfriend because of, like, my hair being in the shower and, like, period stains, whatever. And in my head, I was just like, what the are you, like, actually trying to talk about right now? And I just started crying because I couldn't express my rage. And he left my house that day whenever we had, like, officially broken up. And then, like, he was trying to still get in contact with me after that. And that's what had really, like, pissed me off, because how dare you disrespect me not only once, but now several times, and here you are trying to make me feel bad when you're actually the bad guy in this situation. So, and I usually, like, don't send out, like, long ass texts, or, like, I do block people. Like, once you're on my bad side, you're on my bad side. But, I felt bad for this person because of just, what they had been through in life. But that still didn't give them a right to treat me how they treated me when I was treating them so good, and I would have never did them that way, when in reality I really should have. That's the sad part, is that I should have. And so I realized, like, okay, there is no reward in being the bigger person in this situation. So let me just let this guy, let me let him know how I actually feel, and then block him and cut him out of my life. And let me tell you, that feeling was so freeing. It was so good. Like, it was so good. I feel like it helped me get over my breakup even more than, like, sitting in my room crying, like, being like, oh my gosh, like, questioning my self-worth and, like, what had went wrong, instead of realizing, like, no, this guy is a loser who enjoys hurting you, and you need to let him know that that shit will not be allowed here. Also, I was staying in contact with a family that can never see my point of view. They are not interested in me, my history, where I come from, and, just culture, just being me, being around me, like, being the adults, being the parents that I needed. And staying in those dynamics, expecting people to change. I'm an adult now. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people don't become this way unless there's been patterns like over years and years and years of just like bullshit and hurt and pain and betrayal. And staying in those dynamics, expecting people to change when they are not showing any signs of even wanting to change for themselves, that's insanity. It really is. And you have to eventually grow up and be an adult yourself and be like, okay, am I going to... How I think about it is, I think about myself as a little girl. And I think about, okay, would I let her be around these people? Would I let my daughter date a guy like this? And if not, I have to be the adult that I needed, or like, you know, just a person, like a support system that I needed, and remove myself from those situations and remove myself from those people. The people who hurt me the most have called me crazy and mean when I finally stood up for myself when I couldn't take it no more. And what's crazy is I wasn't even being as mean as I really wanted. That's when I realized that villains are heroes that are tired. They are just tired of the bullshit, bro. This life, this world that we live in, especially in America, it is not fair. People are not playing by the rules. Now my villain era is very, very sacred. Especially when dealing with relationships, like, I'm living my life for me. I'm putting my life first. Like, I will never, ever, ever put myself in a situation like how I've been living my life ever again. Like, now that I'm aware of like male nature and just how my frontal lobe is developing, and it feels good, let me tell you that. But what I'm saying is, if I have to explain my worth to you, if you can't come, especially as a man, if you can't come to me as a man, I have to leave. If you're my family and you make me feel small or not important, or like my voice doesn't matter, I don't care what our DNA says, you know, I have to cut you off because you don't care for me. You only care for yourself. With work, like, if my job is not, if I'm not making enough money, if I'm not having a good time at my job, there's a million other jobs out here. I can leave. You can leave. If it drains me, pretty much, I'm done. I'm only going where I can water myself and grow. The villain is the woman who protects herself. The one who chooses herself, who speaks for herself, speaks for her boundaries, and doesn't care if that offends somebody. She doesn't care who's uncomfortable. I'm saying this woman to woman, please don't abandon yourselves. We live in such an era where we have so much freedom to do so many things to better ourselves and better our lives, and we only get this one life. And in this life, I am never abandoning, oh my God, that's such a hard word to say. I am never abandoning myself ever again. What if becoming the villain for the first time is actually becoming the main character in your life? If something is waking you up in your life right now, listen to it. And it's probably this video. Like, honestly, if you're like still here, this is a sign that you're already entering into the villain era. You're not dramatic, you're not crazy, you're just tired of being walked on and being treated like you don't matter. Step into your villain era, speak your truth, and let everyone else think what they want, because they're gonna do what they want anyways. If you didn't speak up, they would treat you the same. And if you do speak up, they're going to still treat you the same. So wouldn't you much rather like open up that throat chakra and like let people know how you actually feel and just release that energy, like not carry it with you anymore, so that you can move on? For once in your life, let your life be about you and what you think Like, what are your values? What do you really want out of this life? And don't worry about them. Don't worry about what other people say. If you made it this far in the video, please drop a comment because I would love to know the origin of your villain story. And again, guys, I'm never like suggesting violence and like going out and just spewing unnecessary hatred in the world. I just want you to be able to defend yourself and to protect yourself, that so that you can have a good life and so that you can have high self-worth and just be so full of love and be surrounded by the people that actually see you and love you and care for you for who you are. It isn't about becoming a bitter person. It's about becoming a better person. It's about becoming free. And freedom starts the moment that you stop asking for permission. All right, y'all, it's your girl Mini Trees, and until next time, trees, no leaves.